everyone! So even though the Schlatt video did just alright, I've decided to start a series on the entirety of Lunch Club, as I have to imagine my main demographic right now are Lunch Club stans. And right after Schlatt, the person that I appreciate most in the group, and who I think deserves this next video, would be Charlie, who is known by his screen name of Slimecicle. Unfortunately for both you watching and me writing this, we do have to do a wee bit of backstory. Now, the earliest available video on his channel would insinuate that he started making content just about 6 years ago. And since that time, he has been consistently steadfast in pretty quick-paced and witty gaming content. I know witty and gaming content sound like an oxymoron, but trust me, alright? He now sits at almost 1.7 million on his main channel, 367,000 on his second channel, and he has a D&D channel with 42,000. He is also, as most of you watching know, a part of the collective Lunch Club with other creators in his realm. So that's all interesting and such, but what makes Charlie such an interesting figure? Well, let's start with just his persona in general. When looking at the majority of his peers, the internet personas that they portray are the cynical human beings who are just about fed up with the world that they have been partaking in. They have adopted the Gen Z humor pretty well and either seem like they have nothing else left to give or are ready to jump off of the ledge into a whirlpool of insanity. And although Charlie definitely has some of those aspects to him and his content, the way he presents himself is much different. Whenever I see him on screen or hear him talking alone or in a group with other people, he essentially provides a ray of light into whatever he is a part of, and that is due to a multitude of reasons. Firstly, and I know this is something that cannot be controlled and is rather minor compared to the other points I'm going to make, but his voice is much higher than the majority of his collaborators. So almost anything he says can be perceived by the human ear as more innocent and gives the viewer or listener good vibrations. Literally. In the Oxford Handbook of Voice Perception, it is stated that there are studies that have linked higher pitches to more positive inner states, such as playfulness, which is something that I see in the comments all the time. People seem to naturally gravitate to Charlie because of this playful and fun nature he has about himself. However, there is much more to the man that he actively contributes to himself. So, one of the most common types of humor that Charlie utilizes, as signified by a whole entire video being made on it by my good friend Lunch Club Compilations, is puns. Now, although the pun is commonly referred to as a dad joke and rather basic and frustrating to listen to by some, there is actually a bit of complexity to them. There are specifically two different types of puns that Charlie leans on for his humor, and those are homophonic and homographic. Homophonic puns are ones where the pairs of words sound the same but have different meanings. So for example, when Charlie asks here how many enemies the audience sees and responds by saying, "I see 4, that would be homophonic. In contrast, homographic puns are ones where the pairs have the actual same spelling but have different messages. The example for this is when Charlie makes the joke saying that bears don't belong in caves, bats do, and proceeds to throw a baseball bat into the cave. And contrary to the reputation that they receive, some do defend puns as one of the more intellectual styles of comedy possible. The author of the novel Wit's End, James Geary, is a vehement defender of puns and states in an article from Quartz that, despite its bad reputation, punning is, in fact, among the highest displays of wit. Indeed, puns point to the essence of all true wit, the ability to hold in the mind two different ideas about the same thing at the same time. And it would be a little bit different if the puns and the delivery of said puns were bad, but I have been in a multitude of improv classes. I'll pause a moment for the jeering to subside. And most of the people teaching the classes don't hold much of a candle to his on-the-fly humor, which is perfectly showcased in his streaming content. So in a rather subversive way, Charlie utilizes the art of the pun in many different ways and manages to make this form of humor that, in my personal opinion, does take a bit of intellect by thinking on the go and portrays it to his audience as a simple, innocent joke that is meant to produce guffaws, and most certainly does. Now, one thing that I think Charlie doesn't really get acknowledged for and appreciated for is his background and what he brings to the platform, or metaphorically the table. It is a known fact that he has been attending university to get a degree in broadcast media production. And from my personal experience of going to school for video production, I feel like this gives him a better handle on the whole YouTube thing. In an episode of the Lunch Club podcast, Charlie reminisces on the trip the group took together to LA, and he states that him and Ted often headed the charge to make more organized and professional type content, while the rest of the crew was a bit more difficult to wrangle up, and in the end they didn't want to seem like they were pushing anything, which is completely understandable. The thing that the two aforementioned names share in common is that they have both gone to university for some type of media production, and although Ted is the next video, I'm here to focus on Charlie. As someone who went to a convention in my senior year of high school because I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, I can tell you that media broadcasting is insanely difficult. You have to be constantly on your toes and check multiple different aspects of the broadcast at once and make sure that nothing is out of place, even slightly. So I would imagine that near the end of a degree, your skills have to be sharpened immensely, which I think translates over to the content that Charlie makes. If you look in the description of his videos, you will find that there is no editor credited. So unless he's a bad person and doesn't credit his editors, I think that it's safe to say that he edits all of his own content. And if that's the case, oh my God. Every single final product for a 20+ minute video is so clean. The edits on every video are countless, and every single edit is crisp and feels well timed and paced. If I could use a phrase to describe the editing style, it's like a choir kid with ADHD on a boatload of Adderall decided to just try his hand at Premiere or Vegas. The videos are constantly moving, and it would be hard to keep up with if the edits weren't so perfectly crafted to divert the attention of the viewer at just the right time, before bringing it back to the bigger picture quite succinctly. There are so many things to digest, but you never feel totally overwhelmed and are able to keep up at the pace that he sets from the get-go. In all honesty, and this truly isn't hyperbole, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Yet, I think that's something that can be said about Charlie as a whole. The reason that this video has the title that it does is because the aura that he exudes is incredibly refreshing. He's not a person who makes his content kid-friendly or anything like that, as he does, just like his compatriots, have the mouth of a sailor. Yet he does have this innocent wonder and ability to entertain himself that sets him apart from the rest of the people in his sector and genre. Sure, the factors that I mentioned in this video have something to do with it, but I gotta say, he just has this level of authenticity about him. An essence of old YouTube where people were just on this site to express themselves and have fun, and perhaps be a little dumb while doing those things. A time where random content such as dressing up as a corn and advertising yourself through demonic chants, or having an interview with yourself that slowly turns into a hostage situation, would be the main type of videos being put on this site. And although the majority of his videos don't have that level of randomness to them, the magical energy of constantly guessing what's going to happen next and being on the edge of your seat waiting for it to happen is very palpable in everything he makes. So yeah, thank you, Charlie. And may I say, although I can't put a finger on it, I gotta hand it to you. You're always an arm and a leg above the competition. Or something like that. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. As I said, this is going to be a series. We're going to get through all of the Lunch Club members. Just you wait. Like, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed whatever this was. Links in the description to Twitter and Patreon if you want to support us there. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.